In this video, we are going to evaluate this quiet compound formula. I would like to separate the evaluation of the left-hand side and right-hand side operands of the main operator, which is implication here. And at the very end, I would like to evaluate the entire formula. Therefore, now I'm introducing the notation X for the left-hand side operand, Y for the other operand, and at the very end, I will evaluate X implies Y. On the screen, I have a limited area, so you will find a more detailed evaluation in my lecture notes. So let's start with the evaluation of X. So this is an implication, right? Let's focus on the interpretations where the left-hand side operand not P evaluates to false, because in those interpretations, the entire formula X evaluates to 1 immediately. We don't even need to evaluate the right-hand side here. In the remaining 4 interpretations, not P evaluates to 1. Therefore, we really need to evaluate the right-hand side, not Q and R. We can start with the interpretations where not Q evaluates to 0, because in those cases, the conjunction evaluates to 0 immediately, which makes the implication evaluate to 0. In the remaining 2 interpretations, not Q evaluates to 1, and I can copy the values of R. So in the first case, the conjunction becomes 0, in the second case 1, and finally I can evaluate the implication here to 0 and 1. Okay, so I evaluated the formula X, and here you can see the main values here. Okay, before continuing with evaluating Y, we can check out the main formula at the very end, which is an implication, right? So therefore, if we check out the values of X, we can immediately deduce the values of the main implication in some cases. I'm talking about those interpretations where X value is 0, because in those interpretations, the main formula evaluates to 1 immediately. So this means in those 3 interpretations, we don't even need to evaluate Y, right? Okay, let's focus on the remaining 5 interpretations. Let's evaluate Y in those interpretations. So again, we can start with the single interpretation where the left-hand side of this implication evaluates to 0, because there the value of Y is 1. We don't even need to evaluate this embedded implication. So what about the remaining 4 interpretations where Q evaluates to 0, 0, 1, 1? Well, very good. In the 2 interpretations where Q evaluates to 0, we can compute the value of Y similar to the previous case. So in those 3 interpretations, we can immediately evaluate the main formula like that. So 2 more interpretations remain. Okay, so not R evaluates to 1 in this case. In this case, it evaluates to 0. In the very last interpretation, this 0 here makes the embedded implication, not R implies P, evaluate to 1. Therefore, we can immediately compute the value of this implication, which makes the main formula evaluate to 1. And finally, in the remaining 1 interpretation, we have to check out the value of P which is 1. That's really fine because this makes basically everything 1. Let me just highlight the main column below y, and of course I can highlight the very main column, which consists of the values of the main formula. So as you can see, the main formula evaluates to 1 in each and every interpretation. This means that this formula is actually a logical law or tautology. This is the main semantic property for this formula.